If you're loving this podcast, be sure to check out the full lineup. From news and local politics to sports and true crime. Find your next great listen right now at duluthnewstribune.com/podcasts. That's duluthnewstribune.com/podcasts.
Hello, Northlanders. It's Friday, March 31st. I'm Wyatt Buckner with your Duluth News Tribune Minute, presented by Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union.
The average MPECU member saves over $785 a year in better rates and lower fees. And with MPECU, every ATM is your ATM. With their free checking program, you get ATM fee reimbursements at any ATM anywhere in the U.S. Check out Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union services online at mpecu.com or visit their offices in downtown Duluth, Arrowhead Road, or Miller Trunk Highway.
It's Friday, and if you're looking for some fun weekend ideas, Duluth News Tribune arts entertainment reporter Jay Gabler has some options in this week's Best Bets.
Credit where credit's due for this week's Best Bets. I was on vacation last week, so my colleague Terry Caddo assembled this week's Best Bets, and she has done a bang-up job. And she has some great picks for you this weekend in the Northland. Ongoing right now at Zeitgeist, the Minnesota Film Festival that was formerly known as the North by North International Film Festival. Great range of picks of independent new films at Zeitgeist ongoing now. Over at the University of Wisconsin-Superior, they are doing the Rossini opera. Well, I won't try to pronounce the Italian name of this opera, but it's based on Cinderella. You know the story. You should know the music because it is absolutely gorgeous, being presented right now at the Mannion Theater at UWS. This evening at the Depot, it is Trans Day of Visibility in the Northland. It's from 5 to 7 p.m. at the St. Louis County Depot with, quote, connection, music, food, and more as we gather to celebrate our transgender and gender-expansive community members, according to organizers. That is tonight at the Depot. There's also ongoing the annual Twin Ports Festival of History. Of course, it's sort of a constant festival of history here in the Twin Ports. We love celebrating our rich history, but this is a special annual event with 15 free events. You're talking about lectures, slideshows, tours, all celebrating different historic elements of life here in the Twin Ports. You can learn more about these and other ongoing events in the Northland area at duluthnewstribune.com. I'm Jay Gabler.
Now here's a look at today's headlines. Captain Anu Vratarora knew he had a chance of guiding the Federal Dart and its 22 crew members from India into the port of Duluth Superior as the first ocean-going vessel of the season. The Federal champion was ahead of them through the St. Lawrence Seaway but stopped in Hamilton, Canada on Lake Ontario. Then Aurora knew his ship would be the first ocean-going ship, or saltie, to complete the 2,342-mile voyage from the Atlantic Ocean to North America's farthest inland seaport. Aurora, who has sailed into Duluth 4 or 5 times but never on the first to arrive, said he was, quote, really super excited, end quote, to be the first saltie of the year during the annual welcoming ceremony held Thursday in the pilot house of the 656-foot Federal Dart. The ship was unloading 23,000 short tons of Turkish cement at the CRH Ash Grove Cement Terminal on Rice's Point in Duluth. The ship arrived at 3:30 p.m. Tuesday, setting the record for the earliest saltie of the season to reach Duluth by 2 days. It had left Turkey 25 days earlier, making a relatively easy and fast journey to Duluth. Up next, the ship is headed to Thunder Bay where it will load up with grain destined for the United Kingdom, Aurora said. The Duluth Seaway Port Authority, Duluth Mayor Emily Larson, Superior Mayor Jim Payne, and the Reverend Diana Bell of the Twin Ports Ministry to Seafarers presented Aurora with Northland-themed gifts. The winner of the 40th annual First Ship Contest, Patricia Miranda, guessed the first saltie of the season would pass under the aerial lift bridge at 3:28 p.m., March 28th, just 2 minutes ahead of the Federal Dart's actual arrival time. Runner-up James Ford had a guess of 3:25 p.m. More than 9,200 people made entries in the Visit Duluth competition. Rice Lake Mayor John Werner, 72, died Saturday after a long battle with cancer, according to a news release from the city. He was the first and only mayor of Rice Lake and was elected in 2015. A lifelong resident of Rice Lake, Werner enlisted in the Army and served in the Vietnam War. He continued to serve for 41 years, most recently as a command sergeant major. He raised 3 children with his wife of 40 years, Barbara, and worked as a heavy equipment mechanic at Ziegler. Werner was best known for getting things done in the community. He served as the township supervisor for Rice Lake before it was incorporated as a city. Daryl Johnson, a longtime friend of Werner and fellow Rice Lake resident, said Werner was known for finding and gathering people to get things done. In fact, Werner had encouraged Johnson to advocate for Rice Lake to become a city when annexation by Duluth loomed in 2014. Johnson also helped Werner with his next move, to run for the mayor while undergoing cancer treatment. Johnson said Werner spent most of the election cycle in and out of the hospital. He was undergoing stem cell treatment in Seattle on Election Day. Werner was also known for his involvement in the Duluth Honor Guard, the Veterans Memorial Hall Advisory Board, and his work to memorialize veterans. He and his brother worked to install the anchor of the USS Duluth beside the Northland Vietnam Veterans Memorial on the Lake Walk in Duluth. He died before seeing his final project completed, a memorial bronze statue to honor veterans in Rice Lake, at the corner of Rice Lake and Martin Roads. The funeral will be held Wednesday at 11 a.m. at St. John's Catholic Church in Duluth, with visitation Tuesday from 5 to 7 p.m. at Dougherty Funeral Home and also at 9:30 a.m. prior to the funeral at St. John's. The University of Minnesota Duluth women's basketball team will play for a national title tomorrow. Dan Williamson joins us with more.
The UMD Bulldogs are not the only Division II women's basketball team that made a goal of being at Saturday's national championship game at American Airlines Center in Dallas. But they are one of two teams that can still reach out and do it.
Every year I've been at Duluth, we say that at the very beginning that our goal is to win a national championship. And then we kind of put that aside. We don't necessarily talk about it every day because we know that there's things that come before that. Games in November are just as important as they were now. And so I think it kind of was after Christmas when we realized we are a championship caliber team. This is one of a kind type of team.
That was senior guard Tatum Rhodes as she and members of the team met with media Monday ahead of their flight to Texas on Wednesday. It's the first time in program history that the UMD women's basketball team will play for a national title. The second-seeded Bulldogs are 32-3 overall and will face top-ranked Ashland of Ohio for the championship. The Eagles are 36-0. Graduate student guard Mason Thiessen and head coach Mandy Pearson were asked how much can they treat Saturday as just another game and how can they not treat Saturday as just another game.
I think that we have to look at it as another game. We can't let our emotions get too high because we don't want to be playing out of ourselves. We want to stick to what we've done all year.
You're playing for a national championship, so it's different. It is different than other arenas that we've played in. The atmosphere is going to be different. There will be a lot of firsts for us going to this tournament. Plus, it's a really big deal because it's a 50th anniversary of Title IX and just a really cool event to be a part of. But when it comes down to it, we are going to prepare like we've prepared for every single opponent that we've played this year and just try to be the best version of ourselves when we step on the floor.
One of the local athletes on the roster is junior guard Taya Hakamaki. She was a senior with Cromwell Wright when the Cardinals won their state quarterfinal game in 2020, but never got to play in their semifinal game due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Now that I look back at it with my state tournament cancellation and stuff, it's kind of like, I don't know, like a reward or like that kind of being there. So yeah, it's exciting.
The Bulldogs are led by graduate student forward Brooke Olson. The National Player of the Year averages 23.1 points and 7.4 rebounds per game. While UMD is making their first appearance in a national title game, it will be the fifth time for Ashland. The Eagles won titles in 2013 and 2017. UMD and Ashland are scheduled to tip off at 2:30 p.m. Central Time Saturday. The game can be seen on CBS Sports Network. For more on the UMD women's basketball team, including videos, check out duluthnewstribune.com. Also, keep an eye on our website for on-site game day coverage from sports editor Brandon Veal and photographer Clint Austin. Wyatt, back to you.
Thanks, Dan. Now here's a look at your forecast, brought to you by the News Tribune's Northlandia podcast.
Weather for the Duluth area today, looking at snow continuing throughout the afternoon with windy conditions. Temperatures in the low 30s, dropping down into the upper teens tonight with more snow and wind. Winter storm watch in effect overnight tonight. Going into Saturday, we'll look at the snow move on out and sunshine return. Still windy, though, with temperatures in the low 30s. I'm Storm Tracker meteorologist Robert Pointer.
Thank you to the Northlandia podcast for their support. The weekly podcast explores curious and unique stories here in the Northland. Each episode celebrates the region's distinctive people, places, and history. In this week's episode, Jay Gabler shows us how a Fairyland park led to a museum of doll dioramas in Grand Rapids. You can find that episode Saturday at duluthnewstribune.com or wherever you also get this podcast. Reporting for today's episode was done by Jimmy Lovren, Terry Caddo, and Brandon Veal. Thank you for listening to Duluth News Tribune Minute. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.